Welcome to embedding Global On Demand. Please enjoy the session at your own pace. Hey Tina, great seeing you, and thanks for hosting me here in New York at Pepsi's HQ. And by the way, it's great seeing you in person. We've been in touch forever, but the first time that we meet in person. And welcome to embedding. Let's start off with an introduction. Who's it, Tina?
Well, firstly, welcome to PepsiCo.
Thank you.
Stefan, great to see you again. As you said, we have been talking virtually for ages.
Yes.
And this is the first time, I think, face-to-face, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, so who is Athena? Athena is the Chief Strategy and Transformation Officer for PepsiCo. I've been with the company for 2.5 years now. Extremely excited about what we as PepsiCo want to do in the transformation agenda. Before that, I was 15 years in consulting, leading for Accenture, Applied Intelligence, as I was the Chief Analytics Officer for the organization. So a great company, great experience also there, cross-industry leverage. And before that, I was in academia for 7 years, teaching in Imperial College London, UMIST, Sheffield University. Still, I think this is my first love and big love, teaching and doing research. And I am Greek. I have 2 boys, 13 and 10, happily married with my husband, a fellow Greek, and now live in the States for the first time as a family. Before that, we were in London.
Amazing. And thanks for that introduction. We'd definitely love to double click on your role, because you said you joined Pepsi 2.5 years ago, but you joined Pepsi actually in a completely new role where you're heading transformation and strategy for the company. Can you tell me a little bit more about the scope of the role and the main objectives?
Yes, of course. The function didn't exist before I came. So when Ramon took over as the company's CEO, it was his vision to create an end-to-end transformation narrative for the organization so we can have the ability to transform while we perform. So when PepsiCo offered me this great opportunity, we thought about how do we put together elements of the strategy component of this organization while having the ability to deliver the transformation agenda. And this is how the function was formed. We wanted a unit that designs the strategy, is thinking about long-term abilities of this organization to grow, and what are these next generation frontier capabilities and aspirations, both from a top line and bottom line, while we land on the ground, in the sectors, in the markets, transformational capabilities around digital, data, AI, and change management. So I have structured the function in 4 pillars. One is our corporate strategy and category strategies group. So they wake up every day thinking, okay, what should we be thinking from a portfolio, from a geographical expansion, from a people upskilling agenda, and what does the strategy look like? The second big pillar is our transformation group, both at the corporate level and market groups, with their sole mission to drive program management, change management, value realization, ability to land capabilities on the ground seamlessly. The third pillar being digital, everything from user experience and user design, software engineering, process re-engineering, and product management. And the fourth pillar is data analytics and AI, where we are fully redesigning our data foundation strategy, bundled with analytical capabilities and AI capabilities in the company, all tailored towards specific business priorities. One area being consumer transformation, the second area being commercial transformation and commercial excellence, the third being IBP, integrated business planning, and fourth being our supply chain transformation and operational efficiency agenda.
Now, what I like about that, and Tina, you also talked about that before, is PepsiCo is really working to embed data, analytics, planning, and decision-making in the center of its operations. Now, throughout that journey, can you explain a little bit where you are, and also what are some of the learnings?
Obviously, the company was doing things before I joined. So my mission was much more of putting one cohesive strategy around those pillars, enabling a roadmap of 5 years, where we transform everything from the systems to the data to the processes and the business priorities. So if you were to think that end-to-end transformation, I would say we are halfway through the journey. With a deep realization, the journey doesn't finish, but we expect a certain level of maturity within a 5-year period where PepsiCo can be top of class comparing to other CPGs, plus also across industries. Now, where are we in that journey? I would say from an horizontal capability perspective, so think data systems, infrastructure, we have made significant investments on cloud modernization and operationalization, and we are scaling that part. We have great partners like Microsoft in that journey. On the data foundation, I would say for the major markets, we are quite mature when it comes to building everything from the data domains to the industry data models, the functional data models. So then when we are able to feed direct to consumer or IBP or net revenue management, we are able to do that at scale. And when it comes to our business priorities, end to end, we have made great progress in domains where I believe it's a competitive advantage for the company. So in areas like commercial excellence, net revenue management, and sales effectiveness, which is a great competitive advantage for the company, we have rolled out globally those capabilities. In areas like supply chain transformation, we are scaling that, starting from our major markets, but we are I would say probably in the beginning of the journey when it comes to the scalability, also connected that with smart manufacturing. And there is one area that we do work with you, which is integrated business planning, which is our jewel when it comes to our transformation, where this year will be a pivotal year because we will move from the European implementation to the North America implementation, which is our biggest geography by far in the company, but also the most complex geography. So in summary, I feel extremely confident about the journey so far, but there are always some areas that you have to watch out. And those areas are, one is you need to have a prioritization framework. You cannot just throw capabilities to the business without making them understand how they rank at the broader scheme of things and how they relate with the operational reality that they live in. So some of them are more complex in nature but give you a higher ROI. Some of them are simple, but you take much more time to drive value out of that. Some of them are very hard to explain because they affect core systems. So it's not about them getting value now, but it's much more around them running the business now and in the future. So how do you prioritize those initiatives in a way that is digestible is number one priority. The second, you have to be thoughtful about how many initiatives you roll out within a given year. Because as we said, our logo is you have to perform while you transform, or you have to transform while you perform. And we are performing extremely well. So we need to allow the business to drive the business while we give them in doses, but in a very systematic way, the transformation initiatives. The third critical factor is change management. Everyone talks about it, so I don't have to explain what change management is about. The one thing that we, as PepsiCo, feel was very critical for the success of the engagement is embedding change management from day zero in the plan. So not as part of the UAT or not as part of the post-implementation, but as part of the design. And the last one, which is not so intuitive, especially in the industry, is embedding service design and design principles in how we are thinking of the business priorities. Many companies, what they do is they create nice products, but those products from a use of implementation, from a user experience, tailored for the persona, are not so intuitive. So what happens is, yes, it's a great product, technically can do wonders for the business, but the users don't use it because it's not natural to the way they are operating. So we embedded user design, service design from the beginning in every product we put forward to the business, and they become our super users. I would say these are the major areas that they were watch out for us, where we doubled down in terms of capability, and I feel we have made great progress.
Amazing, and thanks for sharing those learnings, Athena. Now, one of the things that you mentioned is obviously the kickoff of the IBP program. You, Ramon, and the broader Pepsi leadership team are extremely excited about that. Why is there, that excitement for IBP, and what do you hope to achieve?
Yeah, indeed, we are very excited about IBP for a couple of reasons. One is because although we have made significant progress on our digital transformation agenda, still, as many other companies out there, we were operating in silos. Meaning you had your commercial organization thinking of planning in their own way. Finance was doing the same, both in terms of short-term and medium-term forecast. Supply chain was also doing planning in their own way. So when it came down to having one plan, and whether that plan was the monthly plan, the period plan we have in the States, it was the quarterly plan, the annual plan, or the medium-term plan, which is an 18-month to 24-month horizon, you had to do a lot of coordination, drive consensus through negotiation. It wasn't very intuitive whether the plan was the right plan to unleash demand or whether it was the right plan for supply chain taking into account the constraints that they had, or was it more of a financial-driven plan to hit the algorithm and therefore everyone then had to abide. So with IBP, what we are achieving now is one single source of the truth. Everyone aligns behind one number, with the ultimate accountable for IBP being the general manager. So you take now the power out of the functions and give it to the general manager to run the business as she or he sees fit, which is unbelievable. Our vision with Ramon is how can you empower the business on the ground? And this is the ultimate way to empower the business, to take decisions, to drive even further growth for this company. The second key element of excitement for me is we've turned IBP to being a supply chain discussion, to being a transformation discussion end-to-end, cross-functional in nature. If you were to see, and I'm sure you're seeing, of who are typically the sponsors of IBP, in most of the cases, they are the chief supply chain officers. For us, yes, supply chain and our chief supply chain officer is one of the stakeholders, as we have the CCO being another stakeholder, as we have the CFO being another stakeholder. But ultimately, we said, no, this is something that needs to be run from the strategy and transformation unit because it has to affect everyone, from how we source the products, how we negotiate with vendors, how it links with customer decisions, how we plan for the short term to close gaps that we have in the plan versus the long term in order for us to have a much better visibility on what is the potential of each of the market and what we need to do to accommodate that. So for us, IBP is a growth engine while also an ability for everyone to collaborate under one single orchestration layer and an umbrella process for the organization.
No, super exciting. And I think, Athena, when we look, obviously comparing that with a lot of other companies, around the globe, I think that's, absolutely the right thing to do, to actually make it, the GM of the market on that, to drive adoption, but also to support, local decision-making where all the functions are coming together. So, love your thoughts there. Now, if we do sort of a double click on what we see as well, there's an increase in demand for companies that want to incorporate ESG metrics as part of integrated business planning. What's your view on that, and what are some of the steps that PepsiCo is taking?
Yeah, for us, ESG and the broader sustainability agenda, which we call PEP Positive in this company, because it's much more around it's much more than the metrics. It's also around the behaviors of the people and positive brands, is a key part of our strategy. So if you were to think of our stronger and better agenda in this organization, One is the digital transformation, the second is a positive, and the third one is our employee value proposition, our people agenda. Specifically on ESG, we are tackling it in two ways. One is as a standalone capability, because ultimately, as you have more regulation coming our way, as a company, we have made commitments around CO2 emissions and packaging and our PET, we wanted to be very proactive with those commitments, but also to provide transparency and visibility. So as such, I'm working with my team, with our Chief Sustainability Officer, to provide exactly this level of data transparency, data visibility across all the different streams of work, from precision agriculture down to CO2 emission visibility for every single market. The more exciting part, though, is how we embed ESG metrics into the business programs. And IBP is the first one that we are doing that. And how do we do it? Firstly, if you were to think of what is the ultimate vision of IBP, is medium to long-term planning. I mean, everyone can solve for the short term by doing tactical decisions, right? Taking tactical decisions and closing this gap. But very few people know, okay, how does my business is likely to evolve in the next 2 years? So as such, though, we want to take the right decisions which are aligned with our ESG commitments. So should we prioritize portfolio, innovation portfolio, which is low in fat and sodium, versus portfolio which is higher in fat and sodium? So this should be some of the hard constraints. The trade-off between Pepsi Zero versus Pepsi Full Sugar. These are commitments that we do from a portfolio. These have to be embedded. Our PET prioritization, biodegradable packaging. So all of those can be constraints that you put both on the algorithm, plus also on the portfolio choices and trade-offs that you do between commercial planning and supply planning. And IBP is exactly the tool to do that, because it gives you the ability to say, okay, based on those decisions, how does my plan evolve? What do I need to do to be able still to hit my top line and bottom line commitments? And where do I see the gap, both in terms of portfolio choices, but also manufacturing choices or sourcing choices with my providers? For me, that is super exciting. I'll tell you, based on the initial analysis we have done with our IBP teams across the globe, this is the most exciting aspect of IBP across all the people in this organization. Because they say, okay, I want to create something which is super exciting for the company and super transformative, but at the same time, I don't want it to compromise the company's sustainability commitments. So this hybrid is, I would say, best in class, what we are doing, and I hope other companies follow suit.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Now, I think my last question, I actually have one question left, but I'll park that for now. You know, digital transformation, obviously how to make it real, right? And what we are seeing in the market is companies that struggle with, you know, speed to value, they struggle with managing the change and so forth. What are some of the creative ways, you know, that you're applying to overcome those obstacles?
Yeah, firstly, you need to start with your own team. So the teams that drive transformation, number one, they need to truly believe that this will make a difference. Because if they don't convey the passion around the transformation, if they don't over-index on communication, if they don't act also as translators of what they are building, then we will reach, in terms of the potential of the transformation, probably closer to 50–60%. So you need, number one, the teams that build, the teams also to be the greatest advocates of the change. The second key element is communication, communication, communication. You cannot assume that even after you have communicated the change 5 times, that people get it. And this is not about change management. It's just about effectively communicating what you are doing, how you are doing it, what does it mean for the people, what does it mean for their jobs, what does it mean about different ways of working. Because there is an inherent belief that, yes, for some of the elements of digital transformation, there might be job losses. or my job will be compromised, or I will not be able to keep up with the new requirements. So, second, communication. Third, upskilling. While you drive transformation, you also need to upskill the people across the company. So what we did very quickly after I came to the company was we established a digital academy. So everyone in this company, irrespective of where they are sitting, irrespective of the level, they go through a mandatory training on the basics of transformation, whether it's data or digital or user experience or our digital priorities, so they all understand what exactly we're trying to achieve and the basic terminology. Then depending on the area of expertise, you get additional training, further certification. We have certification programs. You have badges that we provide. We have an IBB badge strategy, probably the best badge strategy that we have across the company. So everyone who is trained on IBP, deeply on IBP, is an IBP ambassador. So we have an IBP badge, and everyone proudly puts this IBP badge as an additional qualification for them. So that is number 3. And the fourth one, transformation, is also transformation of people. And I think for you to have an effective transformation, you also need to have a diverse workforce. So part of my mission, the company's mission, but more so within our strategy and transformation, for us to succeed in this journey, I wanted to ensure we have a diverse group of people that we're delivering. And we do have almost a 50-50 representation of females and males. And we have amazing percentages of both, in the US at least, the Black community and the Hispanic community within technical fields. So that, for me, accelerated the success, because I want the developing community to be representative of the consumer community. So they know when we have potential bias in what we are building. I would say that is more of our hidden gem within PepsiCo and our S&T community, our ability to attract diverse talent, keep it engaged for us to drive the transformation agenda. Because as I said, these are our people that buy also our products.
Totally, totally. No, and you should definitely send me the certification. I would love to get the IVP badge.
And you will get the IVP badge, but you have to be trained on
okay.
IVP.
Yeah, of course. I'll first do the training.
And our IVP training is very hard.
No, I know. It's very tough, but definitely send it to me and I'll go through training.
Of course, and I recommend it to everyone. This has been an overwhelming success, and because of the IVP badge success, we are rolling these out to every single digital program in the organization.
Wow, love it. Now, last question, personal one.
Yes.
My wife and I are expecting a
and
baby boy
congrats.
in actually 4 weeks. So it's getting close. We're super excited. You have 2 boys, right? What should I do, right? Any recommendations here?
Look, first of all, congrats. I'm super happy for you and your wife. Yeah. And you'll send us a lot of photos when the happy event happens. Look, it's growing up in a family of 3 men. It's like, okay, my husband and now the 2 boys. It's not the easiest. Well, it's very sports driven. So a bit of advice. One is, boys are not that complicated. So give them sports, give them activities, give them occupied, they will be super happy. That is the simple task. Now, the hard task will always be to grow up the boys being respectful of the differences of society. So, I mean, you live in Amsterdam, so there's such an open, community and society. So being respectful of the differences of the people, the differences of the sex, differences of thinking, differences of culture, for me, is and will be the continuous challenge that I have to remind myself that, being, white boys living in the US, they have to still remember that, there is a world out there who is not as privileged, who is not the same with them, and therefore educating about the importance of women, the importance of other diverse groups, and how they should feel that they are equal members of the society is an ongoing challenge of a dad and a mom. And I'll close a bit with an anecdote. So my boys play tennis, competitive tennis. So and they've started from a very early age. So when my son, oldest son, was 4 years old, he started tennis. He goes to the tennis club. So the coach says, okay, now welcome Harry, blah, blah, blah. This is the group that you will play. And he sees a bunch of girls and a bunch of boys. He comes out running, starts crying. Oh, they put me to play with the girls. So my husband turns around and said, okay, you go back. And when we go home, you will see all of Serena Williams' matches. And then you will tell me, you know, who is stronger, the girl or the boy? And that was it, right? And that is a great example. You need the male role model, not the female role model, is to guide the boys about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Amazing. Love it. Now, Athena, thanks for spending time with me. Again, thanks for hosting me here at the beautiful Pepsi HQ, and thanks for joining in Next.
No, my pleasure, Stefan.
Amazing. Thanks.
Thank you.